Mental health conditions can arise as a result of various reasons, but there's an area that's seldom spoken about: rare medical conditions. Imagine being diagnosed with a health condition that you've never even heard of before, and imagine if that condition can prevent you from having children naturally. Mayer-Rokitansky-Küster-Hauser, or MRKH syndrome, is a disorder that occurs in females and mainly affects the reproductive system. It affects 1 in 5,000 women across the world. This condition causes the vagina and uterus to be underdeveloped or absent, although external genitalia are normal. And by the way, if you're wondering why the name is so long, it's because this condition is named after all of the doctors who discovered it. Now, I'd never heard of this condition until my real-life story guest Natalie Truby got in touch to share her experience with MRKH and how it affected her. And she will also be telling us about the way she found to have a baby. But before that, let me tell you who else will be on the show today. We have our resident psychologist, Dr Audrey Tang, offering help and advice for those diagnosed with a rare medical condition. Helena Shard will be telling us about the latest news around today's topic, but always with a positive twist. Hannah Richards is back to talk about good nutrition for new parents, and she'll also be rustling up a healthy dish and answering your questions. And of course, Dr. Rob Hicks is back to answer your medical questions in this week's Doctor's Answers. But let's start off with my real-life story guest for today, Natalie Truby. Welcome to the show, Natalie.
Thank you. Thanks
First
for
of all,
having me.
thank you so much for coming on to speak about this, because I'd never heard of this condition before. So to be able to raise awareness about it is really great for me. So tell us, when did you actually find out that you had this condition?
So you find out when you essentially don't have a period. You develop, normally you go through puberty, but you just don't have a period to show.
Okay. So then what happened? Is that when you went to your doctor, when you realised something?
Exactly, yeah. So went to my doctor. I think the first stage they tested hormone levels, which all came back fine because my ovaries are healthy and active. It kind of dragged on a little bit because they put me on various different pills to kind of get it kick-started, but obviously nothing was happening. So, yeah.
What did they tell you then? How did they tell you about it?
So, when I had an MRI that showed that I didn't actually have a uterus at all, and as a condition,
sometimes you can have part of
sometimes
the uterus.
You can have a tiny uterus, and other times it varies. The condition varies from woman to woman, and so they told me that I didn't have a uterus, and I had an absent left kidney as well. So I've only got a right kidney.
Oh wow, okay. How did you feel when that news was broken to you?
Wow, I mean, it's a big like pill to swallow. It's really difficult. I mean, you're already at a really vulnerable stage in your life. You're young, you just want to fit in, you just want to be the same as your friends, and you have to deal with this kind of adult information about having children in the future, which we all just feel we don't question it. Yeah. So it was, and I've always known as well that I've wanted to have children. So it was pretty devastating.
How did you deal with that then? That news?
So they put me in touch with various counsellors, and I had a bout of counselling and spoke about how I felt. And the thing is, though, it is a pretty lonely place. It's only you that is going through it. I had friends and family around me, but I just kind of wanted to hide away from it. It was really, it was kind of really dark and lonely.
Right. But obviously you didn't stay in that stage, did you? Because you're doing something really positive, which we're going to get onto in just a moment. But how did you pull yourself out of sort of that feeling and that loneliness that you were going through?
So I think it's really important to acknowledge why you're feeling the emotions that you're feeling. I think it's good to be kind to yourself and feel and understand why you're feeling the way that you're feeling, and be thankful of the positives, the science behind that we have in life, and be thankful that we do have options.
In which you did find an option, didn't you?
Yeah.
Now tell us about, you met your partner, you were with someone today. Did you tell him quite early on?
Yeah, so I've never really shied away from the condition, and I think it's really important to be open and honest from quite early on, and he's been nothing but supportive and lovely through everything. Yeah.
In terms of having children with your partner though, what did you discuss first of all?
So I always knew that I wanted to go down the surrogacy route. Thankfully, having a healthy ovaries, I produce eggs every month, so we were able to do a round of IVF and to have my eggs removed and fertilised with him to create an embryo.
Oh, amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
And then tell us about the surrogacy process that you're going through at the moment.
So we joined an organisation, one of the leading ones in the UK. It's essentially run on a friendship first ethos. So it's really natural kind of social settings. You build relationships with people and potential surrogate mothers will get to know you as a couple, and if they like you and they feel connected to you and they feel that you're a good fit, then that's how it works. They offer to help you. Okay,
and have you already found the surrogate?
So just over 2 months ago we had the call, it's called the call, from the organisation to say that we had a lovely lady that wanted to get to know us a bit more to help us.
Have you met her yet? Or you
yes.
Did you click? Straight away?
Yeah, so thankfully we feel really, really thankful. We have been spending the last 2 months getting to know her and her family and doing lovely trips with her, and
that's so nice. It's really nice
it
family
really
setting,
is. It really is. And for me, surrogacy is just so positive. I mean, she just has a really big heart and wants to help, and she feels that she can, and it's quite inspirational, really.
And how do you feel now, like knowing that you can have a child?
Well, it seemed like such a long road before, and so many hurdles to overcome, but the fact that we are really, you know, getting to the finish line is really exciting, and I just want to, you know, be as inspirational as I can and give hope to others that are wanting to do it, that this is actually happening, and you can do it too.
Okay. Now, one of the issues that you had when you first found out that you had the condition was that you didn't really have support, or you didn't even know the name of it first of all. You weren't given anything. Yeah. So now are there things available for young women, like to support groups and things for this?
Yes, so later, about 4 years later, after I was told factually that I was born without a womb, I was doing my own research, and I was told of a clinic specifically for MRKH that run support days and have a whole team of people that want to help and, you know, give people guidance and support that they need.
That must have been such a relief for you. I know it took a while to actually find out where these places were. But
for sure. So it was a bit of a lonely road until that point, to be honest, and I just wish that I had that support a little bit sooner.
Which is why you're actually doing this show, isn't it, to let people know?
Yes, because it is a rare condition. It affects 1 in 5,000 women, so not a lot of doctors know about it, but hopefully with the times moving, the information on the internet, social media, it really helps raise the awareness and gets the support that people need.
Natalie, what would you say to maybe a young woman watching now that maybe has this condition or maybe something else and they feel very lonely, very isolated? What advice would you give to them?
I would say that time is a great healer, and just keep going, keep striving to be positive and be thankful for, you know, the good things and the positive things that are available, and know that there are people that are in the same situation, so reach out and
Brilliant. Well, all the best with everything, Natalie, and do let us know how the surrogacy is going. And
thank you.
Hopefully we'll see some photos soon, some baby photos.
Exciting.
Thank you. All right, everybody. Well, after the break, we have on our resident psychologist, Dr Audrey Tang, offering help and advice for those diagnosed with a rare medical condition. And Helena Shard will be telling us about the latest news around today's topic, but always with a positive twist. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone, where today we are talking about rare conditions, and we also heard the story about surrogacy there. So now we have on Dr. Audrey Tang, who's going to be giving some advice and also talking about some of the mental health issues that can arise from having a rare condition. Welcome to the show, Audrey.
Thanks for having me, Chrissy.
So obviously we had our real life story earlier, and we're not specifically going to talk about that condition, but conditions in general.
Yes.
So first of all, both I and you yourself, we hadn't heard of the condition that our guest had.
Very, very unusual.
Yeah.
And it's always so nice to be able to hear something different on your show, which you are really great at publicising, because it raises awareness and it keeps us kind of going, all right, let's learn a little bit more about that, which is wonderful.
But there's so much involved, isn't there? Like,
oh my goodness.
So if someone is diagnosed with, well, I suppose any condition you're diagnosed with isn't great, you're not going to feel good about it, obviously. Yeah. But at least when you've heard of it and you know what it is, then
when it's
you
got
know
a name,
that it's, exactly. You know how to deal with it. You go to your doctor, you get the medication, all that kind of, get the treatment. In cases where you've never heard of this condition, what kind of stuff can arise?
That's the biggest problem. When you can't name it, you don't know what it is, there is such a sense of fear, because you've got all of these different symptoms, no one's explaining them, you may be going for test after test after test, which probably puts you off going to hospitals as well. Then doctors aren't necessarily giving you any results, they don't know what's going on, and you also don't know any prognosis. You don't want to be a statistic, but then again, there's no statistics at all. And that's a very frightening state of affairs, because you begin to feel, well, I can't plan anything, I can't do anything, I don't know what's happening to me, is this just going to go away? And that state of anxiety can then lead to mental health issues such as anxiety, stress, depression, which then cause even more problems. So that's a very frightening place to be. What I love about what you said, that some syndromes have a name, some diseases have a name, and that's wonderful, because you can type in that name and you will get something. Because even if you feel like you're the only person in the world, even when it's a rare condition, there might be 100 people or 1,000 people, but the internet actually brings that a little bit closer to us, which is one benefit of the internet. However, when you don't have a name, you type in symptoms and lots of different things come up.
Confusing.
Or when I did just a cursory search for rare diseases, what came up was almost a morbid fascination that felt a little bit like a Victorian freak show. Oh, let's have a look at these people with rare medical conditions, and you just think that's wrong, and that is not contributing to a good state of mind. And along with that, when there is a rare condition that's presented to the doctor, and I know you've got a story about this, I've got a story about this, friends have got stories about this, you become the subject of the next paper for that doctor, or they call in all of their interns to come and have a look and see what you look like. And
I've been through that.
It's unpleasant, and you're already in a state of distress. That just heightens it. Then you've got the danger of some symptoms masquerading as other symptoms, and of course most people are going to go down the route of treating the symptoms that they recognise, but if that's not what it is, then it could make it worse, and so on. And so it's not a comfortable place to be. And then try and tell your friends about it, and they all go, well, what is it? Oh, I don't know. Are you contagious? I don't know. No
so
answers.
many things can arise.
It's
difficult to know what to do in these kind of instances.
It is.
But is there anything that you would recommend, maybe apart from speaking to someone about it? Obviously, to continue going to your doctors, trying to get something diagnosis.
Yes. Try and keep going with the diagnosis. I know things like constant blood tests, all of that can be extremely unpleasant, but at least it will get you closer to answers. If you do find there's a name for whatever it is you might have, then that's a great thing, because then you can begin to connect with other people. And if there isn't much of a forum or a support group out there, you could always start one. Now, I always say to people, you can choose how you interact with your diagnosis. Don't feel that you have to become the poster child for that particular diagnosis. You can talk about it as much as you like or as little as you like. That is absolutely your right to do. Sometimes it can help you if you write a journal of the way you've been managing it, because that can then help other people. It makes us feel better because we're contributing. Don't be afraid also of getting a second or even a third opinion. That's something that we tend to shy away from because we feel, oh, the doctor must be right. If you are concerned in any way, try and get a second or third opinion, although be mindful it can start costing.
Yeah.
When you do have a name for it, there may be clinical trials available. That's again up to you as to whether you want to do that. There will be risks involved there too. You may need to have extra things such as financial, legal, and even genetic counselling if you decide to have children, because there can be repercussions. What's wonderful, as your guest was saying, was sometimes it can flag up other areas, and it's great that she was able to talk about surrogacy. I know autism is something we all know about, we've all talked about, but when you're talking about autism, you can also talk about nutrition. You can also talk about bedtime routines. There are so many other things that it can throw up. So it's worth looking at that disorder and seeing it as an opportunity to connect and an opportunity to make a difference as well, and that may help you manage it.
Brilliant. Audrey, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
And we shall see you again next time.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, everyone, now it's time to go to Helena Shard with this week's A Helping of Happy. Welcome to the show, Helena.
Thanks, Chrissy.
So, quite a complicated topic to maybe do news on today.
It is. I mean,
I'm sure you found something.
It's a variety. So I actually was studying children living with the world's rarest diseases.
Okay.
So I have a few stories, but I've also got a story which is to do with disability, but it's a really cute, inspirational story, so I thought I'll talk about it. I think amazing how strong people are. Really, really resilient and inspirational, and their families as well, which is something that I thought, wow. Okay, so starting off with, children with rare rapid aging disease get hope from a new drug, and the disease is progeria, which is sort of a take on Greek before older or something like that, is it? Progeria. Anyway, and it affects 1 in 20 million people. The new drug is a trial that's taken place recently, and it's called lorlatinib, which is in fact a drug which was introduced for cancer patients. Okay. It didn't work, but it is proving to work in this instance, which is great. Because the average life expectancy is 14 years, unfortunately, but it does
I've actually seen people with this on TV.
It is. I mean,
so strange.
They're born really healthy looking, and very quickly they become frail and look elderly, lose their hair, muscle wastage. I mean, it's just so sad, isn't it? Intellectually, absolutely fine, but really quite amazing. And obviously, it's proven to be successful in that respect. So I really, really hope it's going to work. And they're saying that they're going to bring it into mainline, you know, a drug that people can take all the time, not just a trial. So that's great news. That's good news. Really great news. It sort of gives hope, doesn't it, for all illnesses. Moving on to Richard Engel, who is a really successful NBC chief foreign correspondent, and he was recently on the Today Show with his wife, talking about his son. His son's called Henry, and he's 2 years old, and it's about their medical journey with him. He's a survivor of a rare medical condition. It's called Rett syndrome, but it's very unusual for boys to get Rett syndrome. So I'm not sure whether it's really called Rett's or not, because obviously mainly women get it, to do with the X chromosome or something. And anyway, the reason why they came on was really to talk about everything, talk about the whole, you know, the research side of things, which is which is a positive thing, and to let other parents with special needs children know that they're not alone, which is really good. So it's a really quite a powerful piece. And they give everything to their son, obviously, as you would, you know, therapy every day, hospital, just give everything. They get love and so much reward tenfold back, which is really good. And Dr Huda Zogibi, who's from the Texas Children's Hospital, decided to take up their plight in a way because it's so unusual. And she's doing a lot of research into Henry's condition, using his cells, trying to emulate the protein MECP2, which is the protein that obviously it's a brain, to boost the brain, basically. So they're just really hoping that, obviously because it's an untreatable impairment, hoping that obviously Dr Huda Zogibi will work wonders. So because it will be really successful for lots of children and people. This one I think is really quite inspirational. The Boy Without a Voice, who wrote a book with his eyes, it's very hard to keep it very simple. he was in a special needs school up until the age of 7. He basically was told he had profound multiple learning difficulties, so they basically gave up on him, didn't teach him to read and write. Now he has multiple cerebral palsy. He can't read, write, he can't breathe for himself. But his mum took him out of school at 7, taught him how to read via his eyes and a spelling board. And he's just written the most fantastic book called I Can Write, that's E-Y-E Can Write. And he's reading, and his maturity, he's so eloquent, it's incredible. I mean, I know it's going to be a good read, I've just read a little bit of it.
It's incredible, isn't it, when everyone else sort of says that there's no hope. And then
I mean, he's so good. And, you know, his biggest thing, his prayer is that, you know, he wants it to challenge the assumptions based on outward appearances.
Definitely.
And that he just wants to campaign that every child should be, you know, has the right to be taught to read and write. And, you know, he felt really caged, and now he can tell everyone he loves them. And it's just such a beautiful story. And quickly, just a big happy birthday to Nikki Christie. We've spoken about her before. She suffers with a rare threatening condition called arteriovenous malformation. Anyway, it's to do with the veins and the capillaries in the face, and she's got sort of like big, it leaves her face looking deformed. But she is the most inspirational young lady. She has got the most brilliant YouTube site, and honestly, if you see the actual comments that are made, it is really, really fantastic. She won the Pride of Britain Award in 2016 for inspiring others. She won Junior Bake Off, and she's now got her own CBBC collection, which is Nikki Lily Meets, and it's Theresa May. Nikki Lily meets all these different people, and she talks about disability. She champions a charity called Changing Faces, and she talks about online trolls, and I mean, she just is the most amazing young girl, and she's just turned 14. Again, incredibly bright, incredibly eloquent, and I just think fantastic.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Helena.
Thank you.
And we'll see you again next time.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Well, everyone, after the break, we have on Hannah Richards, who'll be talking about good nutrition for new parents, and also rustling up a couple of quick, easy and healthy dishes, and also answering your nutritional questions, such as this one. I'm trying to wean myself off anything containing sugar, but can't seem to do it. Please help. Let's see what she has to say after this. Hi, I'm Chrissy B, host of the UK's only TV programme dedicated to mental health and well-being, The Chrissy B Show, which airs on MyTV Sky 191 every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Follow our social media on YouTube, Instagram and Twitter at Chrissy B Show, and our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. For more information, visit chrissybshow.tv. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone. And now we have with us nutritionist Hannah Richards, who's going to be speaking to us about what parents can eat, especially new parents, to give them lots of energy, because they probably do need a lot of it if they are new parents. Hello, Hannah.
Hi, Chrissy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
So energy is required, right, for new parents?
Yeah, I think obviously energy is required all the time, isn't it? And one of the best things for energy, as we all know, is chocolate. But we do a lot of chocolate and magnesium and things like that. So today I've got a few different things that you might not know really create energy.
Okay.
And are quick and easy and simple.
Brilliant. Okay, so take it away.
Okay, so we all love a little treat. We all love a little snack. So so what I've got here are just dates and raisins and desiccated coconut. Now, normally you would just blend this in the blender, but it can take some time and you need to get the consistency. So all I've done already is blended it up. I've got a third of a cup of desiccated coconut, a cup and a half of raisins, and about 20 medula dates.
Okay.
And all I'm doing is sort of pressing it out like that. Then all I'm going to do is get a nice big juicy raspberry and put them in the middle.
All right, okay.
Now the skill is folding your little date ball up to conceal the raspberry in it, and it just takes a little bit of skill around.
Get your tissue, I think.
And we need a little bit of a tissue. And there you go. You've got a little bit of a date ball.
Oh, that's nice.
And dates are really great little snacks for energy. and as are prunes or figs or any of those kind of things.
Yeah.
But the key is really to get that consistency right so that you can fit it around the palm of your hand and move it in. So anyway, so what we're going to do to make it easier is take a very small bit and roll it around like that. And then you're just going to decide which topping you want on it.
Okay.
So here we've got sesame seeds, really good source of fat. Then we've got some chia seeds and we've got some almonds, flaked almonds. So it's a really easy, cheap way to make a little snack, and you can do all of them. Now, the other thing you can then do with that mixture, and this is when we get a bit dirty,
Shall I move
get
out the way?
messy. I'm just going to mix 2 raspberries in with this mixture here. There we go. The kids will love this. And you can
Making
see...
it or eating it or both?
Yeah, and just eating it. And they're all ready. You then just... You've got all that yummy juice,
that smells
and you're just
nice.
rolling it around again. And again, just take it. Here's some chopped nuts. So we're just going to roll it in some chopped nuts there.
So
and then
easy.
you've got one of them. So,
Amazing.
luckily for you, I made some earlier.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! And these ones have got raspberries in them, and they've got blackberries in them. So just right in the centre, they've got, when you open them up, when you eat them, all this really yummy, juicy raspberry or berry will come out. And all you then need to do is just sort of sprinkle them with whatever you want. There's that one there. Or we've got some nuts. And you can just, as I said before, just roll them around.
Yeah.
And there you go. You've got all your different
Lovely,
types
delicious,
of balls.
nutritious,
and they're really,
energy.
really lovely, quick and easy things, full of energy. Now the key is with these kind of balls is to, obviously not eat all of them.
It's difficult though. One a day?
Well,
would you
yeah.
say?
Well, because then suddenly you'll be low in energy, then you'll eat all of them, and then you'll be sort of tanked out again. So the key is being circumspect, all in moderation. One.
Really?
Maybe 2.
Okay, cool.
Definitely
I'm
2.
happy with 2, yeah.
But there you go, really nice
Lovely.
little... And you could put raw cacao there, or a chocolate powder.
yeah.
You could... what else could you use? Desiccated coconut.
Yeah. Great idea.
Anything, and then just put them in the fridge to set. So you've got lots of different ways, depending on your skill set, of making
Lovely.
an energy ball.
But you're not just going to make that today, are you? You've
I'm
got
certainly
something
not.
else.
Yeah, so I'm going to show you a few other things. Remove all those nuts. So,
Can't resist this one with the raspberry. I'm going to try it.
yeah, you eat away. One of my favourite fruits is the grapefruit.
You carry on, Hannah. It's so nice.
And I love grapefruit because grapefruit is really great in the morning when you're lacking a bit of energy as well. You can just smell that zest straight away. So all we're going to do with this grapefruit, I'm going to make a bit of a grapefruit salad.
I don't really like grapefruit.
Don't you?
But I'm sure I'm going to like this.
Well,
Something's telling me.
I know, it's because it's quite bitter. And I don't know, maybe we associate them with a childhood something and we don't like them anymore. Plus they are a bit fussy. They take a bit of effort to get into, don't they? So you can get, obviously this is a yellow grapefruit, but you can get those sort of blood orange grapefruits.
Yeah.
And grapefruit juice as well is a really good thing. So in the morning, just to boost your adrenals, which are the glands that produce lots of energy in the body. So if you squeezed one grapefruit and you had the juice of it in the morning, you'd be doing really well. And it would really boost your energy. So we've got one grapefruit, an apple,
Nice apple.
a lemon, and we're going to just make a very quick, so I'm going to cut into him like this and just make it into segments. Now, do you remember, that's probably why when you were a kid you used to cut the grapefruit in half and then you had to take out all the segments and then cut round the edges and then dive in the spoon. It just
Too
took
much
ages
effort,
for
yeah.
not enough food, maybe. Maybe that's why maybe why we're not fans of them anymore.
I've had my 2 now.
Your 2 balls.
Yeah.
So do you think you'll stop there, or do you think your
Still want
willpower
another
will
one,
get
but
better?
I'm going to try not to.
What's your favourite
tasty.
fruit, Chrissy?
Mangoes.
Ooh, and we're mango season.
Yes, I love them. Oh gosh, can't
We
get
are
enough of them.
mango season at the moment, aren't we?
I'm eating watermelon every day actually as well.
Yeah, watermelon is great. You've just got to be careful of like the tropical fruits because they are quite high in sugar.
Yeah.
So we're just going to put these segments out here. I'm trying to do it as prettily as possible. So all the melons, cantaloupe, fan of cantaloupe?
Yes. We're having a lot of watermelon.
Honeydew?
Yes, I like everything. Apart from grapefruit.
Apart from grapefruit. Honestly,
No,
I'm sure I turned you into a cabbage lover.
No, I liked cabbage before.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
There was something.
Was there? Can't remember. But we have our watermelon sometimes. Well, in Cyprus, we have it with halloumi cheese.
Ooh.
It's like a breakfast thing.
Baked halloumi.
No, just yeah. It's very nice together.
So there's our grapefruit in there. Then I'm going to cut the orange. Everyone loves an orange.
I do love oranges. Shall I hold the bowl up? Can you guys see it?
Yeah. And the reason that I've done it the reason that I've decided to use all these, they're obviously all citrus fruits, aren't they? Mm-hmm. And I think that, we get so used to all the time using apples and oranges, apples and pears and berries and all our, if you can just peel them, that's great, thanks. It's just nice to have something slightly different.
I had a nice
And they are so, this
salad
fruit
the other
is...
day with orange actually. It's quite nice. Can't remember what else was in it now.
And if you remember that you can always put a fruit on top of a good salad, just to make it a little sweet, that natural sweetness. We're sort of sugar addicts these days, always looking for that artificial sugar. But remember, your fruit will just provide you with that. So we're making a complete mess.
I know.
But don't worry. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to add...
Go along.
I'll tell you as we go. Then I'm just going to add a really small bit of lemon. I'm just going to squeeze it over. And then...
Now that's interesting, grabbing the ginger there.
Yeah, the ginger. I'm a fan of ginger, and I promised I wouldn't bring turmeric. Stain your surfaces again.
You just like messy recipes,
I
don't
do,
you?
I like messy recipes. So ginger is fantastic. I'm sure you cook a lot with ginger, don't you?
Not too much.
No? Make it in tea, make ginger tea?
Yeah, sometimes.
It's in a lot of... it's a good digestive aid, ginger. Really good for the digestive system if you're struggling. Or maybe if you've overeaten, you could always cut some fresh ginger, put it in your teapot, and it would help you digest.
But that's not an excuse to overeat, is it?
But that is not an excuse to eat too many balls.
Yes, which I haven't had another one.
So I'm just really finely chopping some ginger here, just skimming it off. It's very pithy, it's very fibrous, this ginger, so we just need a very small bit of it there. Now, I'm going to try and make this look a little bit prettier. Put that under there.
Anything. Right.
And then we're going to make a bit of a funny dressing on top, because even though it is a fruit salad, it's very small. It's going to look better in a minute. There we go. And then we're going to squirt a little bit of honey.
Okay.
And a little bit of olive oil.
It's strange to see olive oil and grapefruit.
Well, it is. And remember, we've got these 3 macronutrients that we need all the time in our lives: fat, protein, and carbohydrate. And fat really helps reduce all your sugar cravings as well as protein.
Okay.
So this is sort of a mixture of a savoury and a sweet dish. And there's just a suggestion of balsamic vinegar. Slight bit of pepper on top. And there you go, you've got your sort of savoury, sweet, citrus fruit salad.
Lovely.
With the grapefruit being the main energy giver to the dish.
That actually looks really nice.
I'm
actually tempted to try that, but I will. But not now, because we've got a question to answer.
Okay, great, let's go.
Okay, so the question we asked before the break was, I'm trying to wean myself off anything containing sugar, but can't seem to do it. Please help. There you go.
Have a date ball or some grapefruit. A really good trick for sugar cravings is to take a supplement which is a mineral called chromium. And chromium helps regulate everything in the body, metabolize carbohydrates, fat and protein. So if you're really struggling coming off sugar, take a 200 UG dose of chromium and it should help reduce your sugar cravings.
Oh, okay. All right. Nice. What about foods and stuff, would you say? Like the fats that you were saying
Yeah,
earlier?
so the other thing that will really help reduce sugar cravings is making sure you've got fat and protein in the diet. Protein is a bit like that plug to stop that monkey mind thinking about where's my next sugar treat coming from.
Okay, brilliant. And one more question then we've got time for. Some people say that red meat is great for you because of all the protein, and others say that you should only have it once a week because any more than that is not good for you. Can you please advise on what a safe amount of red meat is?
I think most places would say that a safe amount of red meat would be making sure it's organic or grass-fed would be twice a week maximum.
Okay.
The difference is the reason why people say it's so bad for us is because it's been so heavily processed. If you're eating heavily processed meat, it is very bad for you. It's carcinogenic, you don't want to eat it. But if it's really beautiful Angus steak, organic, grass-fed, you can do it twice a week and be fine.
Brilliant. Hannah, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
I'll see you again next time.
Hope so.
Thank you. Well, everyone, up next we've got Dr. Rob Hicks to answer all of your questions, and here's one of the ones we received. Is it normal to have to run to the toilet for a number 2 within a few minutes of having a cup of tea in the morning? Find out what Rob has to say after this. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone. And now we have on Dr. Rob Hicks to answer all of your medical questions. Hello, Rob.
Hello, Chris. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm feeling fabulous, actually.
We've got some great questions for you today, Rob.
Will you fire away then?
Yes, I will. So the first one, is it normal to have to run to the toilet for a number 2 within a few minutes of having a cup of tea in the morning? I'm fine as soon as I wake up and just go for a wee, but as soon as I drink tea or have something to eat, I'm running to the loo.
That's a great question because this is normal.
Is it? Okay.
But it worries people because they'll be sitting at breakfast with their family. They'll be the one who quickly has to get up and go to the toilet, and everybody else will be saying, "What's wrong with you? Why can't you sit and finish your breakfast?" The answer is this is a normal response. It's called the gastrocolic reflex. We all have it. To varying degrees. Some people can take a sip of tea and they feel the need to go to the bathroom. Some people can get right the way through breakfast and then it's minutes, maybe a half an hour later when they need to go to the bathroom. What happens is when we eat food, it stretches the stomach. That triggers muscle contractions throughout the gut, throughout the intestine. It's called peristalsis. It's that squeeze in muscular action that moves matter through the gut, and of course the result of that is you go for number 2. You go for a poo, and the theory is actually it's the body's way of helping to make space for more food. So it's a normal response. I mean, for some people it could be a potential symptom of irritable bowel syndrome, but generally speaking, in the vast majority of cases, it's a normal physiological response, and unless it's causing you any problems, you need not worry about it. If you're having other symptoms like nausea or weight loss, or loose motions or a change in your bowel motions, then you must have a checkup with your doctor. But if this is simply the only thing you're concerned about, then I don't think you need to be worried at all.
Okay, Rob, next question. Do you have any advice on how to stop picking at one's nails and finger skin? I normally do this more while I'm thinking about something or concentrating. I'm not anxious or worried about anything. However, I notice that if my hands aren't full with something, it's constant. It's not that I'm worried about anything, and most of the times I don't even realize I'm doing it. I'd love to be able to stop this bad habit. Any advice would be much appreciated.
I have some advice on this. This could be stress related, but it sounds to me like a condition called dermatophagia, which is a body-focused repetitive behaviour. It's its long name for it, and it's a recognised condition. So what you're going through is something which there is help available for, and it's probably a good idea to get some help because it's clearly worrying you, and there are some risks associated with picking at the skin. So for example, you risk damaging the skin and introducing an infection. From an emotional point of view, you may start to become sort of very self-conscious and socially isolated because of not just the appearance of your fingers with people perhaps looking at your fingers, but your behaviour and people staring at you and thinking, well, what's wrong with that person? Why are they doing that? And then there's the inherent knock-on effect of potential further anxiety and depression. So I would urge you to have a consultation with your doctor who will discuss with you the possible treatment options. So cognitive behavioural therapy, for example, habit reversal training is another process. There is medication available that can be used, not specifically for this condition or this behaviour, but for the symptoms associated with it, and any anxiety and depression, of course, that can be treated as well. And there are some complementary options too that you might want to consider trying. So massage therapy, hypnosis, and something called replacement behaviours. So what you do is chew gum, for example, and that sort of distracts you, refocuses you on something else, or put something in your hands when you're concentrating. So you're fiddling with a puzzle or a sponge ball rather than picking up the nails and the fingers. But have a chat with your doctor to get to the bottom of this and get some treatment for it.
Brilliant. Next question, Rob. Out of nowhere, my grandmother got a severe headache and a nosebleed. We took her to A&E and the doctors couldn't find anything wrong. They suggested it might be the hot weather, but it wasn't particularly hot that day. As soon as we took her back home, she got another nosebleed, and then again the next day. Again, we took her in to be told the same thing. Do you know what the problem could be?
Lots of reasons why this could be happening. The lining of the nose is incredibly delicate. So even any sort of minor trauma to the nasal passages, to the nostrils, can trigger a nosebleed. So for example, picking the nose, blowing the nose too hard, and as one of the doctors pointed out, a change in the environmental temperature that could dry out the nose, making it more like your grandmother more likely to have a nosebleed. Other problems: injury to the nose, high blood pressure, being on a medication such as a blood thinning medication, an anticoagulant like warfarin, can make nosebleeds more likely as well. And interestingly enough, as a person gets older, they're more likely to suffer nosebleeds simply because the tissue becomes more fragile, let's say, and so even minor injury to the tissue can cause a nosebleed. So these are the possible causes. I think it's reasonable for your grandmother to have a checkup with her GP, primarily to look at whether high blood pressure might be the underlying cause, or whether it's a side effect of the medication that she's taking. But the other thing to keep an eye on her about is, is she having a sneaky pick, or is she blowing her nose too heavily? And if it might be related to climate, particularly dry climate, think about using a seawater nasal spray just to keep the nose and the passages moist, and so they're less likely to bleed. But those are the sort of things to think about.
Last question for today, Rob. Is there anything I can do about motion sickness? If I travel backwards on the bus or a train, I feel dizzy. If I read or check anything on my phone in the car, I feel really sick. I also notice that particular smells, like certain car seats and even certain perfumes and sprays, make me feel dizzy and like throwing up.
Lots that can be done. You know why motion sickness happens is because the messages that the brain receives from what are called the semicircular canals in the inner ear, these are the balance canals. The messages it's receiving are different to what the messages are from the eyes. So it all gets confused and messed up, and we feel sick, and sometimes we are sick. What's great about your question is you've already identified a whole host of things that triggers your motion sickness. So you can do your best now to try and avoid those. So that's a huge step forward. Then think about the things that you can do. Well, try and reduce the actual motion when you're traveling. So in a car, sit in the front seat if possible. On a plane, try and get a seat that's above the wings, or by the wings. On a boat, sit in the middle of the boat where there's less movement that you will experience. Another thing to think about is when you're traveling, is in a car or on a boat, is to get fresh air. So on a car, that would be keeping the windows down, for example. Taking regular breaks during travelling to stretch your legs, take some deep breaths, have some liquid to drink. That will help as well. It's very important to avoid looking at moving things. So on a boat, don't look at waves, look into the horizon. When you're in a car, look into the distance, don't watch all the cars that are passing by you. And you've already identified, it's really a good idea not to be looking down into your lap at a phone or a tablet or trying to read, because these sorts of things will confuse the brain because of the different messages it's receiving and will make motion sickness more likely. Try and avoid heavy meals, spicy foods, fatty foods and alcohol before travelling as well. And think of the things you can actually do to prevent and treat the symptoms. So ginger is a good idea, crystallised ginger for example. Acupressure bands that are worn around the wrist, and they might help with preventing nausea. And there are lots of different remedies that you can get over the counter from the pharmacist, medication that comes in dissolvable tablets and patches as well. So have a chat with the pharmacist and put all those other things into place, and hopefully you'll be able to travel symptom-free like anybody wants to.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much. That's all we've got time for.
Very welcome.
And we'll see you again next time.
Yes, you will indeed.
Thank you. Well, everyone, before we end the programme for today, let's go to my final thought of the day. I'd like to thank all my guests that appeared on today's show, and especially to Natalie, who bravely spoke about her condition. And something I'd like to highlight from everything that she said was the way she felt when she found out that she had this condition. She did feel lonely, and I know how that feels because, as I've mentioned before on this program, when you do have something going on in your life and you think that no one else is going through it, it is a very, very lonely place, because you don't know, who to talk to, if you should talk to anyone, how people will react to you. And as she mentioned, when she told her family and friends, it didn't make her feel better because they didn't really understand what she was going through. She kind of hid herself away. But what's important to remember is, even if maybe you don't feel like you can speak to the immediate people around you, like your family and friends, there are other options. In her case, she did her own research and she found a place where she could actually find a support group, people that are going through the same thing. And she did that for herself. Unfortunately, it wasn't, when she was first diagnosed, the doctor that saw her didn't actually tell her what the name of the condition was. So she had to find out for herself. That was an unfortunate thing that happened. But even if you do go through things like this where you don't get much help or adequate help, doesn't mean you should give up. Keep going, keep looking for help, and you will eventually find it. And it's very important to always remain positive that things can turn around for the better. Well, everyone, we've reached the end of today's program, but if you have a story that you would like to share with us, like Natalie did, or if you'd like to give us your comments about this episode or past shows as well, please do get in touch with us. You can email us on info@chrissybshow.tv. You can tweet or Instagram us @ChrissyBShow, or leave a message on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. And if you'd like to know more about me and my mental health journey, all you need to do is visit my personal website, which is mylifeafterdepression.com. Until next time, bye-bye for now.